wrestling fans, welcome to One Wing Wrestling, where we help you navigate the complex world of pro wrestling, bringing you the best matches, world-class wrestlers, and news you can count on. At One Wing Wrestling, we bring the elite to you. I'm your host, Krishna Dhanai, and joining me, as always, is Mr. Bill Cotbush. Bill, how's it going?
It is going. It's going. I mean, it's been an exceptionally warm day here in Toronto. It feels like we're in like late summer again or something like that.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing. I haven't left my desk all day, and I just got that message as well. Hey, I heard it's a great day outside. I'm like, it wasn't rainy. I didn't, I didn't feel cold in any way, so I was like,
Yeah,
it must have been a summer day outside
it
today.
was. Our windows are wide open. The heat is off. It's beautiful outside. You should really go outside and enjoy some of that amazing weather. You know, I mean, last night was Halloween. The kids got out for that in
Mm,
some relative warmth and wet. I know you took some
mm.
kids out. How'd that go?
Well, the unfortunate thing are the nieces and nephew they're sick. So the younger ones, they couldn't go, right? Because they were
Hmm.
like actually sick. The older one, she felt better, but she was still, kind of ill. But it's kids;
Yeah.
they really, really, really want to go. So I took her out, and we walked maybe a block and a half, 2 blocks, got some candy, and you could tell it was getting to her. And I said, hey, you don't have to continue if you don't want to. And she just wanted to do one more house, and we did one. And then she was tired, but then she didn't realize how far we had walked away from her house. So she's
Oh
like,
no.
are we home yet? So we finally got there. It was one of those things where it's like, you're right, it was like a little bit wet,
Yeah.
really gloomy. I drove home yesterday from her house, and it was like it seemed like a Halloween night. It was
Oh
foggy
yeah.
outside. I was like, ooh, the
Yep.
ghosts are out,
Yep.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. We
But
have this. Oh, go on. Sorry.
overall, sorry. Well, overall, I mean, for the kids, it was good. It was good for the kids, finally getting out there. And the funny thing is, the younger one, she saw us leaving. Of course, at that time, she
Hmm.
wanted to go as well, but she was too ill to go out. So
Yes.
it was fun.
Yes. Yes. I saw her cute little tiger outfit. So
Yep.
the house that's two doors down from us, they go all out for Halloween. They set up like a whole scare thing and stuff, and try to scare kids. And they've got like the whole garage set up with all kinds of decorations and stuff. And every year you can hear the screaming. It was the very first night that I've ever been in class right now where I had to put earphones in because the class was being drowned out by the noise from outside, both between kids coming to our door and like, my wife talking to them and stuff, and the noise from two doors down where you could hear people screaming and yelling and carrying on. And yeah, I was like, wow, it's a very active Halloween this year, but hey, it's good.
Yeah.
It's nice to see some activity again. So yep. Well, we have quite a bit to talk to about today, and this is our show where, you can find the elite worldwide, where we're going to give you some news updates, some recommended matches, our wrestler of the week. We even have a spotlight for you today, someone that you may have heard of if you've been listening to our show, but may not know much about. So that's what we're going to look at today. But we'll kick it off with some news if you're ready to go there, Krishna.
Let's do it.
We will
Let's
do
do
it. Well, if you've been living under a rock,
it.
you will not know about the next news topic. But for like the past week, since Dynamite last week, the talk has been the AEW investigation is most likely over. The Bucks, Kenny Omega and Don Callis were all backstage at Dynamite on October the 26th. It looks like they've likely been cleared by the investigation. We reported last week Ace Steel was fired. Punk is probably at the point of not coming back, according to several quote. This is from Meltzer. Several of the top people. It's a pretty big blow to AEW in the sense that Punk was their biggest drawing card. They've got their television rights being negotiated around the corner. It's a rough time to be cutting ties with someone, but based on what we've been talking about for weeks now, I mean, what else do you do with what he said about the company, right?
I
I
know
mean, so
that's
what do you
true.
think about the end of the investigation, or the likely end of the investigation?
Likely end. I mean, uh, you know, this entire thing could have been resolved with people acting like adults. But no, of course, we're a bunch of guys acting like idiots. Like, we know how guys get. We're guys. We get heated sometimes. We say stupid things. But like, you know what? If I said this stuff at work, guess what happened to me? I'd be
Yes.
fired. I'd be kicked out. And guess who would have to blame for that? Myself.
Hmm.
Right? So I'm it's to the point where it's been 2 months. I'm over this now. I'm so over this now. Like 2 months, and our love for the elites and like Kenny Omega and the Bucks. I've hated the fact we've had 2 months without them on TV
Mm-hmm.
because of something so stupid, right?
Yep. 100%.
And I'm just glad it's over. I'm just so happy it's over because you know what? I don't want to report on this stuff anymore
No,
because
this
it's
this
just
this is going to
nonsense.
be our moratorium on it. I mean, from here on out, it will be what's going on with the elite.
Yeah.
But after today, unless there's just something that we cannot help but talk about because of the way it directly impacts like AEW or New Japan or whatever, right? No, I'm with you. I'm with you. I am so over this
Oh, I know.
story. It's like what we
I know.
have seen, fortunately, is the AEW locker room pull together. Lots of
Mm-hmm.
positive statements coming out of it, lots of positivity around AEW. And I can't imagine anything. There was no reports of any negativity from last week with the elite backstage and stuff like that. So all I can say is onward, upward. I can't wait to see what's going on with the elite storyline. I can't wait for Dynamite tomorrow night.
Yeah.
There's all
Yeah.
kinds of good stuff. It's just positivity. I am very happy to be a pro wrestling fan right now in spite of all this. I would just like this to finally go the way of the dodo so I can get back to listening to podcasts that aren't all about CM Punk. Who knew this would be what we'd be talking about a year after his debut, right?
Well,
Uh,
and that's the thing is like it's just barely a year after, and
mhm.
this stuff goes down, and even like the wrestling outlets, yeah, think about this. This is the biggest story that's happened this year, right? The biggest
Yeah,
story, which is stupid. It's nothing in the ring. It's everything outside the ring
yeah,
that happened, and even the wrestling outlets that love this stuff are sick and tired of reporting on
yeah,
this,
yeah. No
right?
kidding, right? So yeah, anyway, but I think that this might be a good segue into shall we call it an unfortunate edition of Dhanai's dirt
Nice dirt
sheets
sheet.
around the results of this investigation.
Are you ready for some of this stuff?
I'm as
Okay.
ready
All
as
right.
I'm
All
gonna
right. All
get
right. All
for
right. All
some
right.
of this stuff. Let's
All right.
do it.
Let's get into some of the stuff, right? So apparently, and you're gonna love this one because you've heard it on Dave Meltzer mentioning this that the doggy Larry when the door was kicked in, who knows, maybe super kicked in, the door knocked him in the face, and they didn't know his teeth had been kind of knocked out or displaced or something until Punk had a scheduled vet appointment 2 days later, and he found out that the door had caused his dog's teeth to get knocked out. Now, so let's put this in here. If this truly happened, then yeah, we know what the animal shouldn't have gotten hurt. Like that's just stupid. But sorry, continue. But go on before I comment more on this.
Yeah,
Please
yeah.
let
Didn't
me know your
happen.
thoughts.
Didn't happen.
It didn't happen. I know it
100%
didn't
didn't.
happen.
No, I'm not going to go 100%. I don't know that for sure. It didn't happen. 95% chance it didn't happen. And here's why. See,
Mm-hmm.
Meltzer gave this analysis, and I can't help but agree with him. Brian Alvarez agreed with him too. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's just very clear to me this didn't happen because if it had happened, it would have come out very, very quickly after the story broke
Correct.
because this really paints the elite in a bad light. One, the door was,
Correct.
as in all likelihood, again, I can't guarantee this. These are not facts. The door was likely not kicked in. And I would say that it is extremely likely the door did not hit the dog and break the dog's teeth. Now, I don't know if he did go to the vet and his dog had broken teeth. You know, maybe his dog got broken teeth somewhere else. Maybe his dog got
That's
broken teeth at
that's
some
it.
other point in the fight. Who knows? I mean, the other report is Kenny Omega rescued the dog.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, that's it.
I mean,
Like
it's not like Kenny Omega took the dog outside and then punched its teeth in, right?
then beat
That's
the dog up. Yeah, and that was the
yeah.
thing, right? There were multiple reports that when the fight happened,
Mm-hmm.
Kenny actually took the dog out. And
Mm-hmm.
remember, Mega Perect, the actual lawyer who
Yeah.
was there,
Yes,
was
exactly.
there.
Exactly. Yeah, this is the kind of thing that comes out now. And apparently these reports are coming from Punk's camp. I mean, you
Yeah.
and I both listened to Nick Hausman discuss it with
Mm-hmm.
Dave Meltzer today. These reports came from Punk's camp. And I mean, why?
Yeah.
And I'm not even going to speculate on the motive because I'm not going to get into that kind of mudslinging, right?
Yeah.
The investigation is likely over. There is no real reason to be discussing this now. It is just patently ridiculous, like an attempt to keep negativity in the news. And look, it succeeded. We're talking about it. An
Mm-hmm.
attempt to keep negativity in the news around the Punk thing, which is just ridiculous because we are now going to move on with our AEW lives.
Exactly. So that was one thing. The
Mm-hmm.
second thing on the list was there's been talks about, potentially, who knows, WWE might actually want Punk back. And there was a quick report, and again, don't know if this is true, that Triple H wants nothing to do with Punk at all. So
That
my thoughts on this is you know what? That's possible. That is very possible with the way Punk left. So
100%, right? I
yeah.
mean, like, look, he was a problem for WWE while he was there at the end, and maybe for good reason. He was fighting hurt, blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
But he lasted a year in AEW before he was a problem there, too.
Yeah.
So, you know, is he, again, one, it's WWE. I don't care. Two, it's likely. I'm not going to say it's positive, but again, like what we do on Dhanai's dirt sheets, we look at the news and
Mhm.
see, is this truth or is it just a rumor? And this is just a rumor. I
Yep.
haven't talked to Triple H. I don't know anyone who has talked to Triple H. Triple H has not put out a statement saying, I'm not hiring that Punk guy.
Wait, you didn't
Secondly,
talk to Paul? I thought Paul Levesque was on your
oh,
speed
he
dial. Come
is, man.
on.
He totally is. I wasn't just going to bother him with something so trivial. But let me put it to you
True.
this way.
True.
From a business point of view, WWE would be stupid not to sign the guy if he's willing.
Yep.
So, but that's a purely business point of view. You know why we have this podcast? Because we don't really care about the wrestling business. We care about wrestling.
Yep. Agreed.
There are lots of podcasts out there where you can go and listen to a breakdown of the wrestling business and all that kind of stuff. You're probably not going to get it here because we don't go into politics and business. We go
Yep.
into wrestling because
Yep.
we just enjoy wrestling.
Yep.
What's next?
The last two actually. One is Jericho basically
Mm-hmm.
calling Punk a cancer to the locker room. Now, obviously, this has been reported a couple times, a couple outlets.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Jericho hasn't confirmed this, but it does kind of sound like something Jericho would say to him. So
Jericho hasn't confirmed it though. So yeah, does it sound like something he might say? Sure. Do we know for a fact Jericho said it? No. We have no way of knowing Jericho said it again unless Jericho comes out and says, yeah, man, I totally said it. Or Tony Khan picks up a mic and goes, Jericho came up and said to me, CM Punk's a
yeah,
cancer in the locker room,
yeah,
right? And there's no one saying that. It's just, again, sources giving it. For now, again, this is what journalists do. They have sources, they get information, they report on the information. But when we digest that information, it's a good thing to keep in mind that this didn't come from Jericho.
Mhm.
This didn't come from Tony Khan directly, right? It's hearsay. It came from a third party source. So is it true? Who the heck knows? Is it possible? Sure. Likely? Maybe. True? I am
We don't
not
know.
putting
We
my
won't,
stamp
and
on that.
we won't know until Jericho, as you said, Jericho comes out and says it himself. And last
Exactly.
but not least, the last thing about this, and I hope this is done
Ever.
just like ever. Yeah, Punk is done with wrestling for good.
I would say we have no evidence of that because Punk has not come out and said, I'm done with wrestling for good. And unless he comes out and says, I'm done with wrestling for good. And even if he said that, we all know that doesn't necessarily mean, I mean, how many
He's
times
done.
has Ric Flair said he's done with
That's true.
wrestling for good? And, so could he be? I mean, if he has no desire to go to WWE and he had this experience with AEW, if I were him, I'd probably be done with wrestling for good
Yep.
at this point. He's got stuff he can go do in Hollywood. He's got stuff. I mean, he's got all kinds of irons in the fire. He's not hurting for cash. You know, he might be done. But again, this is just okay. Maybe I saw it reported like one of the headlines was actually Punk done with wrestling. And I'm like, wait, he never said that. How
No.
do you know this? Right? Like, this is what kills me about these kind of headlines. There is no evidence that any of this is actually true. I would just
Yep.
like to point
Agreed.
out that my wife is currently sneaking around behind me, trying to get something out of a closet for some reason.
I can't see her. I see the background.
Oh, I know. Did you want to say hi, dear?
No.
Okay, she's not going to say hi. She has left. Okay. Anyway, So yeah, where were we? Oh yeah, this crap. Yeah. Whether he's done or not, who knows? Um, he might be, but he's injured, so we won't know for months anyway. So you know what? We're not even going to hear about CM Punk at all. Not a single news outlet after today will report anything at all about CM
Yeah,
Punk. That's going to be
right.
my headline that's completely factually inaccurate. No one talks about CM Punk for a month.
Oh, if only, because now we can move on to, again, fantasy booking for the elite again, figuring out how they're going to be introduced back
Oh,
to
I know.
AEW,
Yep.
what's going to happen. Oh, I'm excited.
Right. And speaking of fantasy booking, there was a series of videos that came out this week
Hmm.
on a certain House of Black social media accounts. You want to tell us a little about those videos, Krishna?
So I was scrolling through Facebook. I was scrolling through Twitter the other day, and I saw something. I had seen a picture of House of Black, and I was like, oh, someone's just posting about the House of Black because they're awesome, and why not? But they were actually like little mini videos. It had like Malachi Black, and the videos were like maybe 10 seconds each,
Yeah.
if that, right? Um, one with Malachi, one with Julia Hart, Buddy Murphy, and obviously the last one with
Brody
Brody
King.
King, right? And I was like, wait, did someone take like is this something someone posted? And I looked at it again, and I'm like, wait, this is posted on their actual like Instagram and their Twitter accounts. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, wait a minute, are they coming back soon? I got hyped. I got totally hyped on this because remember, as we know, Malachi taking some time off to heal himself. Great, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's been what, month, a month, maybe month and a half, if
Yeah.
if that, like not even that, right? And
Yeah.
he did say like, in his farewell video that he posted on Instagram that it has nothing to do with AEW. It's literally something personal. And he said,
Mm-hmm.
who knows? It could be a couple couple days, couple
Mm-hmm.
weeks, several months. He didn't know the answer.
Right.
I was shocked when I saw these.
Oh yeah,
I was
me too.
absolutely shocked. I was like, what is this? Like I couldn't believe it. But remember Malachi, he said, when I come back, I'm coming back to AEW.
Of course.
So I don't know. I like,
I'm hyped because these
yes,
looked so good.
exactly. I I was confused with Buddy Matthews because he was just standing like in
Well, he was
water.
in a swimming pool, right? I'm like, wait a second. So the three of them are all in these black backgrounds and they're coming in, they're talking about being forgotten and stuff like that, right? And I was like, oh, this is so cool. And then you have Buddy Matthews in a swimming pool.
I hope AEW has learned from from everything that's happened in the past year. And I'm not
Mm-hmm.
talking about the Punk thing. Everything has happened the past year. Tony
Mm-hmm.
Khan admitting to, hey, I need help.
Yep.
I can't do this by myself. The misbooking, all these things that have been happening slowly. And
Mm-hmm.
we said, we said we would give some time to see how the bookings can happen. And we've said for the past couple of weeks, we said, you know what? The product has improved a
Oh, yeah.
lot,
Oh, yeah.
right?
I've really enjoyed the last few Dynamites.
So if you're telling me the House of Black is coming back,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I listen, give them the Trios Championship. I don't even want the Bucks and Omega to have it anymore. Give them the Trios Championship,
Oh, yeah. I
right?
want the Bucks and Omega to go do kind of their own thing with this, like,
Exactly.
you
They
guys
don't need
burned us out of existence kind of
they
thing.
the Bucks and Omega do not need the Trios Championship.
No.
The people who can carry that is the House of Black, and they can. Oh, I'm Malachi Black has one of the coolest entrances I've ever seen.
Yes.
Right? Just the walk to the ring, the stop, the lights go out, and he's just on the ropes, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
this is so
Oh yeah,
awesome.
and the music that
Oh,
goes
his music
with
is
it is
awesome.
perfect, right?
Oh,
It's just perfect. So yeah, it is one of the best entrances I've ever seen in wrestling. I can't wait to see what they do. You're right; they would be perfect holders of the trios championship because they'd be like just this unstoppable heel
a
force
force, exactly,
that you would just have to
exactly.
overcome. It could set up like a really good babyface group if you put them against
You
them
mean
properly.
you mean like the Dark Order, who are doing nothing right now?
Yes, like the Dark Order, where you have like a real conflict between these two
Yes,
groups, which would be pretty
yes.
cool if it's done right. You could even bring Colt Cabana back to the Dark Order now if you
So
wanted
yeah,
to.
so So I was gonna bring that up in the dirt sheet as well. That hey, is it true Cole Cabana was taken off the air because CM Punk? It coincidentally happened.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just leave it at that. But you're right. Remember the other day when I had said, hey, did you see the AEW Games thing
Mm-hmm.
where Cole Cabana was back with
Yep.
Evil Uno, right? And now Stu Grayson, like, come on, guys. Like, I mean, like,
Yeah,
it
it's
feels
starting to look
like
like an ad, like wait a second here. All of a sudden these guys are all coming back? Like all of them.
they're all coming back and everyone's happy in the back room with people like Danielson
Yeah.
and Chris Jericho. Hmm.
Any contract
Interesting.
extensions for Jericho and Mox or
I
new
you
contracts for
know
Jericho and
I
Moxley? I
don't
mean, yeah.
know. Anyways, but
Yep.
yeah, no. House of Black.
Yep.
Any news regarding House of Black, we would have been happy with. We
Yes.
thought we listen. I thought the earlier so we would hear something about Malachi Black and this group again because I was really sad
Mm-hmm.
when Malachi had to take a step away and
Yep.
then Buddy Matthews kind of just disappeared with him. Right.
Yes.
I expected January earliest,
Mm-hmm.
earliest.
Yep.
Right. But like last Saturday, I was like, what am I looking
Oh, I
at
know. I
here?
know. You messaged me immediately. Have you seen these house? I'm like, what House of Black videos? Because of course I only go on social media if someone like makes me. So, yep.
But no, I'm thoroughly. Let's just say, I was at the level of excitement when the Bucks and Omega little vignette played last week in the commercial. Like I was that excited because that's how much I like Malachi Black, and I felt
Wow.
so bad for him the way that it went down, and by all means, the way they misused him. This is why, like, you got to remember that the guys that these people, they're human beings, and the fact that he had to step away for personal matters, nothing work
Mm-hmm.
related, like literally to take a time away, and he's healed himself. Fingers crossed, he's healed himself. He's ready to come
Yep.
back, and he's such a good wrestler, and he's
Oh
so
yeah.
good. Oh,
Yep.
I
I know.
I I
I
was just
can't wait.
excited.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was
it'll
excited.
be great. I am looking forward to this. I was also looking forward to this year's PWI 150 for the women's 150 this year, right? And it came out, and my initial reaction to the list was, I had a brief moment of elation, and then I had a moment of like, what the hell is this list? As all good lists would, and then I had a moment of like, okay, maybe I need to understand this list a little better, and so I'm going to talk a little about this list, and I'll get your reaction in a moment.
Cool.
So the PWI 150, for those of you who don't know, Pro Wrestling Illustrated puts out their 150 top women's wrestlers of the year. They will do the men's list before long.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so they follow a criterion, though, that includes the following. So the rating is based on a number of things put together, including win-loss record, championships won, the
Mm-hmm.
quality of their competition, major feuds they've been in, prominence within the wrestling promotion, and finally, the last criteria, overall wrestling ability. So there's a bunch of other factors that go into it besides overall wrestling ability. Whereas I tend to judge my favorite wrestlers based on two things:
Mm-hmm.
overall wrestling ability and how they present their character. And that's pretty much
Fair
it.
enough.
And and with a
Yep.
little bit too in terms of like their backstage influence, how good they are, how much they love the business, their passion for wrestling, that kind of stuff, right? Because that
Mm-hmm.
goes a long way with me too. So of course, taking my criteria to this list is a travesty. But then once I understood where they were coming from, I mean, let's look at some of this.
Okay.
Shuri from Stardom is in the number one place.
Yeah.
This makes total sense to me. She had an amazing year. She is currently the Stardom champion. She is a phenomenal wrestler in the ring. Okay, I get it. It makes sense. And the highest rated AEW member, okay, let's just back up a bit. There were 28 wrestlers from Japanese promotions on the list this year,
Cool.
17 of them from Stardom,
Oh,
and
okay.
three from Stardom were in the top 10. AEW had 21 wrestlers on the top 150, and 55 people in the top 150 this year were freelancers, like no major promotion they were signed to.
I was about to ask. I was about to make a joke about AEW saying, "Hey, they had 21 female wrestlers."
I
You
know,
sure about
right?
that? Because I'm pretty sure when
You're
they announced their stables, only about 6 people came out, right? So that's
Yeah,
all the.
I know they actually have 21 in the women's
Oh,
division.
interesting.
I was in shock. Yeah, two of them in the top 10. The two in the
Mm-hmm.
top 10 were Thunder Rosa at 3 and Jade Cargill at 5.
Mm-hmm.
Jade must be on there for the fact that she hasn't lost any matches, is been a champion most of the year, and because she sure as heck didn't have any quality competition really. And her overall wrestling ability is middling at best. Though look, credit where it's due, she's improving.
She
But
is.
number 5 in
You
the
know,
freaking world?
you know. So remember when we talked about our friend, who I'm totally forgetting her name right now, Tony Storm. There we go, Tony
Yes.
Storm. And we said, everyone keeps saying how great she is, but we're just not seeing it. And it's possible
Mhm.
maybe it was ring rust, and again, she's getting better. Just needs
Yep.
a more expansive move set. Um, I'm kind of feeling it's the same thing with Jade Cargill. Jade Cargill has her fans. Let's not be
Oh yeah, like
just
that's
here.
very true.
Like she has tons of fans. Tony Khan, listen, if there's one thing Tony Khan knows, is he knows who the fans love, right? He really does, and he really tries to look. Hey, Wardlow, perfect example, right? Even though we may not have liked the Wardlow rise to fame and what happened, the fans sure as hell love
Krishna,
him.
I'm a fan.
I know you are, but remember, you're a wrestling elitist. Remember that, okay?
This is true. This is
So
true.
so with Jade Cargill, I get it. Yeah, you're right. She's got that Goldberg streak going on. She's got that kind of listen, she's an athlete. Like I'm not gonna say she's not. She's built like a total athlete as well. Is she the best wrestler AEW has? No. Sorry, best wrestler. Let's go with that. Wrestler, no.
Hmm.
Is she the best female wrestler? No. So it's really hard for me to see her at number 5, but I get it. I get it if you look at her year, right? Because it's, hey, remember, these are yearly things. Because hey,
Yep.
if I was giving these lists out, Bill, if they were male wrestlers, I'd be giving it to Kenny Omega every single year, right? So, I'm a little bit biased there. I give number 1 spot to him and then the Bucks and whomever, right? But I get why they gave it to her, because if I look at the list, right? So you're right. Sayuri, you told me she's an amazing wrestler. She
Sure.
deserved it,
Yep.
right? Bianca Belair, number 2. I'm gonna just quickly speak saying, yeah, you know what? I think she deserved it as well.
Wouldn't
Maybe
know. Don't watch WWE.
no, I know you don't. But just looking at the charisma she has, she's good on the mic. She's a good athlete, right? And from what I understand from some of the reviews I watch, she's a good wrestler. So,
Hmm.
hey, she won the belt. She defeated Becky Lynch or whomever that was. Understandable. Now, here's here here's where things get tricky, right? Because you're right. We're talking about the two top AEW wrestlers on here, 3
Hmm.
and 5. So Thunder Rosa and Jade Cargill. So we talked about Jade, and why I think that's why she's there is just because her rise, right? Her rise was pretty crazy, right? She went from we're like, who's this person? Why does
Hmm.
she deserve this? Why is she getting this?
Right.
Well, they sold it. Fans love it, and great. Now, number 3, Thunder Rosa.
Hmm.
I like Thunder Rosa. I like her, but I don't love her. Do you know what I mean? Like, remember where I said she should never be on the mic? Like, never put Thunder Rosa on the mic because she's absolutely terrible on the mic.
Hmm.
But then I see her wrestling people like Britt Baker, who we'll talk about Britt later on. Britt Baker, and they have that crazy, that match was last year, and still till today, I will say that's probably the best hardcore match I've ever seen.
Hmm.
Period. Not men's, not women's, hardcore match. Period. Because you know what? It had the right amount of hardcoreness, I guess, to it. And it wasn't overly excessive. Like we're not putting things into people's mouths and trying to just go. It wasn't the exploding
I
barbed
was about
wire
to
death
say
match,
yes.
right? Okay, so I get it, but Thunder Rosa. Remember we talked about this a couple weeks back, or maybe a couple
Hmm.
months back. She wasn't defending her belt at any point. We're like, how come the women's um champion is not defending her belt? And I
Yeah.
think she brought this up as well.
Hmm.
Bad booking. We'll leave it as that, right?
Yeah.
Do I think she is a better wrestler than Jade Cargill? We know this. She's
Oh
been
yeah.
at this for like
100%.
20 plus years. We've seen her again with actual wrestlers like Britt. We've
Hmm.
also seen her with people like Tony Storm. Oof,
Yeah.
average at best. So I see it. I see why they're, but to me it's kind of like, okay, but so are you literally, when you look at these lists, and it's a question to you, are they awarding this based on them winning a championship and having a championship? Is
It's
that
part of
what
it.
puts you as the top wrestlers ever, like in the world? Because I would disagree that,
Mm-hmm.
if you are looking at the entire package, Thunder Rosa sucks on the mic. Okay, J- Jade Cargill, she's not good. That's why they put her with
Yep.
other people.
Of course, you realize that ability to work on the mic isn't part of this.
No, no, I get that. I get that. But you
Mm-hmm.
got to remember that if you're looking at the overall package of a wrestler and you're going to rate them in this list,
Mm-hmm.
then they should be a complete package. They shouldn't just be like, oh, well, this person's just really, really good. Because, hey, the reason Kenny Omega won Wrestler of the Year last year was because not only is he the best wrestler in the world, but he's great on the mic. He's absolutely hilarious on the mic. And I loved every second, every promo he cut.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. I don't see that here. I really
Right.
don't.
I think though that if they were to put mic skills as a category, you are 100% biasing North America. 100%.
That's true. I am.
Because
That's true.
no, and because that's not how wrestling gets done a lot in Japan,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The women and the men, both
Mhm.
of them, they don't cut a lot of in-ring
Promos.
promos. There's not those big backstage segments and stuff like that, right? Yeah, they do
Yeah.
news conferences, they do promos, but promos tend to be fairly short. They try to promote the matches with them and stuff, and they work. And
Mhm.
some people are better than others at cutting promos,
Yeah.
but they're not like a focal point.
Mm.
Like in Japan, it's the in-ring work that really matters. So it's I think it would be a real bias towards North America if they suddenly made, mic work part of what
I,
they're
I
rating here.
I guess that makes sense, but you're right. You're right. And you know what? I mean, it's maybe not mic work. I guess it's overall personality and storytelling, right? Maybe that's
Right.
what I'm trying to say.
And
Yeah.
I think that gets captured in two ways on this list, right? You've
Mhm.
got the prominence within a wrestler's promotion,
Okay.
right? And you
Okay.
could you could interpret that in a lot of ways. How do you get to prominence? Well, in a lot of North American promotions, part of that is being able to cut a good promo, like MJF, right? He's
Mhm.
very prominent now based on his mic work,
Yep.
right? And his
Agreed.
in-ring ability, right? So I
Yep.
mean, and overall wrestling ability. So if you're applying this, it's a little different in Japan, where prominence within
Mhm.
a wrestler's promotion is kind of done a little differently than it is in North America, right?
Yeah.
So then overall wrestling ability, which you could share that between the two. That'll be the
Sure.
same. Wrestling
Yep.
ability is wrestling ability, right?
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, I get that. So yeah, I mean, you're right. In the sense of Thunder Rosa, though, I still don't understand why she's number three. She had some good matches. She was a champion for, I guess a
Yeah.
huge chunk of the year. She's a decent wrestler, but number three,
Yep. Is
like,
is is the number one
yep,
Suri?
Suri, yep.
Is she a champion?
Yes, she is. She is currently the Stardom champion, like their
Okay,
top
because
champion.
that's it, right? Because you're right. I'm looking at either they're currently a champion or they're just a previous champion,
Hmm.
right? And
Right.
that's how they kind of got rated.
Hmm.
Um, because yeah, I mean, we can go on like the list. For example, like Siri, good. Bianca Belair, good. Thunder Rosa at number three over
Yeah.
people like Britt Baker or Akira, over Sheeta, who I actually saw on the list as well, and she
Hmm.
is number Hikaru Shida, yeah,
Hikaru Shida is number 65.
65.
Hmm.
65.
One below Jamie Hayter at number 64.
Yes, I saw that one. That's what I was looking for. Jamie
Yeah.
Hayter, yes.
Yeah.
Like
Keep in
I'm
mind,
looking
Willow
at these,
Nightingale outranks both of them by a good 20.
but
She's in
how?
40th.
How?
Yeah, I have no idea. Ruby
How?
Soho spent half the year on the shelf as number 60.
I don't get it.
No, I don't get it either. It makes very little sense to me.
Hmm.
And when you have, say, Chris Statlander at 125, but somehow or other Kira Hogan beats her at 100. Ty Mello sitting at 127, but Kira Hogan beats her at 100. I mean, and
Tony
I'm not
Storm
saying
at
Ty
number
Mello is like a
25.
gigantically amazing. Sorry.
And Tony Storm at number 25
Yeah,
over
exactly. Yeah.
Sasha Banks.
Yep. And then let's start talking about, like, Julia sitting at 57.
I saw that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. And she's amazing. Tom Nakano sitting at 30. Are you kidding me right now?
Oscar
Mayu Iwatani
61.
sitting at 27.
Yeah.
Like, she's not as good as Tony Storm. I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
Like, it's it just,
Serena
yeah, okay.
Deeb 77.
Mhm.
77.
Yeah, I know, right? Like the best technical female wrestler,
Oh my goodness.
if not in the world, at least in AEW. All
Yeah,
right, just
agreed.
phenomenal technical talent. Her character is excellent. Yeah, she hasn't been a champion.
Yeah.
And they're not booking her well enough. We've said
Nope.
that a few times. She gets
Nope.
cheered every time she's in the ring, but her win-loss record is pretty damn good. You know? I don't know. To
Marina
sit at
Shafir
77,
is higher than Chris Statlander.
and that is just terrible. Marina Shafir can barely
That
wrestle.
is an insult. Actually, she's higher than Chris Statlander and
Mm-hmm.
she's higher than Ty Mello.
She's also higher than Mina Shirakawa and Hanan from Stardom. And Hanan could wrestle circles around Marina Shafir. Like circles. I watched her in like a couple of her tag
Mhm.
matches recently. And she's young, she's still learning, but
But
she's
she's good.
better than Marina Shafir, you know? And anyway,
It,
we could probably argue this. The thing about lists like this is that we could argue about them all
argue.
day,
I know.
right? And it's out there. So they've got to put something out. They know when they release a list what's going to happen. Wrestling fans who love wrestling and have
Yeah.
their favorites are going to argue over them. Because believe me, when we get the PWI 500 this year,
Oh no.
we're probably going to be we're going to have to reserve some extra time for that bad boy.
Oh
So
no.
yeah. Anyway,
Do
so
you want to make
yeah,
a
those
do you want to make a quick prediction who you think's going to top that list of
Will
PWI
Osprey.
5? You think so, eh?
Yeah, Will Osprey.
You know who's going to top the list? I'm going to guarantee you this now.
Okay.
Roman Reigns is going to top that list.
Oh, come on.
You Bill, I'm not agreeing with the pick. Roman Reigns is going to top that
Will
list.
Osprey.
No, I would want Will if it's not Kenny Omega, I would want Will
Yeah.
Ospreay to top the list.
Yeah,
Why
of
not?
course. Well, it's got to be
Will's
one of the two
amazing.
of them. And then
Hey,
again, oh, look, Omega's coming back. He has a month. He has
he
2
did say
months.
he
Yep.
did say he can come
Yep.
back in November.
Yep.
His words, not mine.
Yep.
I can
Exactly.
come
He's
back in
coming back.
November
He's going to be
and win.
wrestler of the year by the end of the year. You watch. And
I love that confidence.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, we shall move on from this now because we could probably continue talking about it all evening. But we New Japan. We've got some stuff that happened in New Japan.
Great.
I think we should update us.
Let's do it.
So the full card is now set for Battle Autumn on November 5th. I will not be probably watching the entire thing, as is typical with these, but these are the matches that I'm going to check out. There is an IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championship match between Francisco Akira and TJP, who we know are part of United Empire. They're the current champions. They're taking on Titan and Bushi. This match is going to be great because you've got four high flyers in the ring, four guys who are all like just amazing. And this match is going to be nuts and insane. And I can't wait to watch it. There's the IWGP Tag Team Championships. FTR is defending their belt now against the other United Empire tag team of Great O'Khan and Jeff Cobb.
Interesting.
Should be an interesting match. Is it going to be match of the year? Probably not.
No.
But I think it will be quite good. There's the IWGP US Heavyweight Championship between Will Ospreay and Tetsuya Naito that I have talked about before on here, and I cannot wait to watch. And we now have the NJPW TV title tournament semifinals set. So here's what happened. Remember your boy Kenta? You're like, I want Kenta to win the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he was eliminated in a match
Oh.
against Sonata. So we don't get the Kenta versus Ren Narita semifinal we would have had, which I think would have been like amazing. So there you go. So we get Ren Narita taking on Sonata November 5th. And the other one, we have Zack Sabre Jr., who won his match, which I will be talking about later. And he will be taking on Evil. Somehow, Evil is still in this tournament. Why he's still in this tournament, I don't know, but he is, and he will be taking on and hopefully losing to Zack Sabre Jr. But yeah, that's what's going down with that. And as you might know, there was actually a title match planned on that for the New Japan Never Openweight title that I talked about last week with Carl Anderson. Well, Carl Anderson will not be showing up because he'll be wrestling at Crown Jewel, which is a good place for him. NJPW, of course, threatened to strip the belt from him, but they might not be doing that. It looks like they might just be waiting for him to come and defend the belt at another date. And instead, now we are getting Hikuleo taking on Yujiro Takahashi, which means I can completely and utterly skip that match.
Yeah, remember last week when we talked about this, or the week before, and we had talked about the fact that New Japan said they'd show up or we should be with the belt, and we're like, great,
Yes.
strip them with the belt.
Mhm.
And I was like, what if this was a work? Like, what if there were is a little work here? And kind of sounds like it might be. Like, I guess New Japan is gonna take any type of publicity they can get right now. Um, yeah, I just don't care about Carl Anderson. I just don't
Yeah,
like
I don't
like
either.
who cares? Take the belt away from him. But hey, whatever.
Yep.
I don't know.
Speaking of taking belts away, Aussie Open had a rough weekend.
Uh oh.
First, they lost their New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong tag titles to the Motor City Machine Guns at the Battle
Oh,
on 44th Street. So
okay.
now we will be seeing the Motor City Machine Guns on New Japan Strong, which, hey, I'm okay with that.
Hmm.
It also means Aussie Open is finally, I think, headed to Japan for their first. Did you know that they've never been to Japan? The entire time they've been in New Japan, they haven't actually been
So
in
there's
Japan
they just did strong in North America and they never
and
went.
in UK and stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's
Yeah,
weird.
it is. It's
Okay.
very, but I think they're finally on their way to Japan to actually wrestle in Japan.
Okay.
And yeah, so we're gonna get the Motor City Machine Guns now on New Japan Strong, which is kind of cool. But then Aussie Open lost the very next night to the Briscoes in House of Glory. That's what it was. The Hog tag titles. The Briscoes are the champions, and they lost that match as well. So they had a rough weekend, unfortunately.
Oh, poor Aussie Open. They're so good.
They
But
really are.
hey, who know again, who knows? Maybe they may come well, if they remain stateside, maybe they can face off against the top tag team eventually, right? That being the
Oh,
Young Bucks.
Oh,
But
they will eventually. We have all kinds of ways in which they could face off against them coming up. So there we go with our fantasy
I
booking. See,
know
Young
fancy
Bucks versus Aussie Open. Book it now.
now. Yep, agreed.
Yes, two of the best tag teams in the world today.
Yep.
Yep. So, because what we really need is the Elite versus United Empire feud.
Oh yeah. We need Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay, and we need it yesterday. Okay, that's how
Yes.
much we need that match. Like,
Yes.
oh, I can't wait. I just can't wait. Like, will they do it at the New Japan? What is it? Dominion? Is that what they call it? Like the
Wrestle Kingdom.
Wrestle Kingdom. Sorry, Wrestle Kingdom. Yeah, are they gonna do it there? Like, hey, you know what? Do it there. Let Will win, or let Kenny win, and then do a rematch at Forbidden Door, and
Hmm.
maybe let Will win there. So there's so many things, right? There's so many opportunities. I so many things. Like
Yeah.
wrestling. I just love wrestling, and
Yep.
it's oh, I cannot wait.
Oh, I know, right? Like that match, I'll be like on the edge of my seat waiting for it to
Yep.
start. Yeah, I just, yeah, saliva. Anyway, speaking of wrestling that we cannot wait to see, we have our matches of the week. Are you ready to get into those, Krishna?
Yeah. I am
Okay.
actually ready to get into those.
Okay. So what did you see this week that you want to recommend to all of our listeners so that they can find the elite?
You know, I was I watched last week's Dark and Elevation.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't really get a chance to watch too much wrestling last week. So I watched Dynamite, Rampage, Elevation, and Dark. So a lot of AEW wrestling is what I watched last week.
Yes.
And this one's gonna kind of surprise you.
Mm-hmm.
But it's weird because Dark from last week, they showed, I guess, tapings they had done in Toronto because they kept
Mm-hmm.
mentioning Toronto over and over again. I'm like, oh, I guess they would have taped the previous one in Toronto. Makes
Mm-hmm.
sense. Now this one's gonna shock you a little bit. I'm actually gonna give a kind of check it out kind of match to a women's match that happened on Dark, and it was Athena versus her name is, if I'm hopefully getting this right, Alexia or Alexa Nicole.
Mm-hmm.
She's a Torontonian actually. She
Mm-hmm.
was from Toronto and she fought Athena. You know, the weird part is that I watched this match, no botches. It
Mm-hmm.
was fast. It was fluid. Athena looked really good. She actually tried to play the heel kind of thing a little bit
Mm-hmm.
because this girl Alexia was gets like Toronto. Love you guys. You guys giving love to your fellow man here. And yeah, the match was just fun. Like it wasn't extremely long. It didn't like drag on. It just these two just went at it. Some of the hits, oh my god! And that finisher that Athena uses, I don't know how she does it. It's the one where she kind of like has the person, then it's almost like a code breaker, but she spins them, and I'm like, oh my! Every time I see it, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
how do you do it? such a good match. And at the end of the match, no show of respect. She actually, held up. I was like, you know what? This is a good match. I'm gonna give this match a mention on the podcast this week because
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, it just shows like you don't have to be a big name to put on a good show, right?
100%.
And we always said Athena's a good wrestler, and I'm always like, yeah, okay, whatever, sure. I haven't seen a lot of it, but yeah, this girl who I've never heard of before, Alexia and Nicole, they worked well together,
Yep.
and it was just a fun match to watch. So if you have a chance, I think it's like maybe 10 minutes, not even. It's a
It's
fun match.
less.
Just go ahead. Yeah, let's
Yep.
just go in and
I
watch it.
actually watched that match. Yeah, no, it was fun. It was fun.
Yeah,
What I
yeah.
liked about it at the beginning or at the beginning of the match too was the dynamic because the crowd was
Mm,
so behind Alexia. And
hmm.
Athena was like looking at the ground. Okay, you want to play it like
Yeah,
that? You
let's
want
do
to play
this.
it like
Yeah,
that? Fine, right? Because they were like booing her and cheering
yeah.
Alexia. Alexia, by the way, number 146 on the PWI
Oh,
150.
I didn't even know she was there. Okay,
Yes,
there you
yep,
go.
she is on it. So there you go. The yeah, so it is a fun little match for
Hmm.
sure.
Hmm. Agreed, agreed. So yeah, if you have a chance, check that one out. The second match that I think people should check out is funny. It's the Lucha Brothers, which if you watch Dark, you notice it switches to daily play. So I think they kind of inserted this match. I don't know when
Hmm.
they inserted this match, but the Lucha Brothers versus the Workhorsemen. Right
Yeah.
now,
Hmm.
I have been one of those people who may kind of make fun of the Workhorsemen because it's such a stupid name, and
Hmm.
like I'm not a big fan of either of these guys, though it's because I haven't really given them a chance. Now, I have to remember that the Lucha Brothers are probably the second best tag team in the world. But let's be real here, right? The second best, right? And that's not even a slight on them. Like there's only one Young Bucks. These two teams put on a great match. And you know who surprised me in this match? JD Drake. For his size, this guy was like he was going. And what I love about tag teams in general in AEW is that they do tag team moves, right? They're actually doing like it's not just a tag here, beat somebody up, tag back. No, they do tag team moves. So watching them, oh, it was this match again, fun. Again, I love how they announced Lucha Brothers as 2/3 of the of the trios championships with Fox. But no, this match again, so much fun. I have to give credit where credit's due. The Workhorsemen, they were great. They're actually
Hmm.
really, really good. Surprisingly, and maybe I haven't seen that. Maybe I just haven't given them a chance. Surprisingly good,
Hmm.
surprisingly good. So
Yep.
I was happy to see them like get some time to shine, given it was dark. I'm like, whatever. But yeah, if you have a chance, again, really, can you like really not ever recommend a Lucha Brothers match? Like,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah,
Think
I can't
about
think of
that,
one that I wouldn't go.
right?
Yeah, no, don't check out
Don't
that
check it
Lucha Bro.
out.
No, no.
This
Check
match
out
sucks.
all the
Don't
Lucha
check it.
Brothers
Yeah,
matches.
and
Yeah.
that's the thing. Like, I should have known right when the match started that hey,
Hmm.
you're gonna have a lot of fun with this match.
Yeah.
And I kind of knew it because when they announced Lucha Brothers, I'm like, oh, okay, the Lucha Brothers. But overall, just a fun match.
Hmm.
Like no cheating. Again, no outside interference. Every team played what they had to do, like the heel versus the good guys. I didn't get to see a lot of Alex Abrahante, so I was good about that. And yeah, no, overall, just a great match. Just
Yep.
absolutely a good match to watch.
Yeah, no, and the Workhorsemen are very underrated. The more I
They
see them, the
are.
more I like them. So,
Yes, and that's the thing. We've always talked about this. AEW
mm-hmm.
has the best tag division in the world,
Mm-hmm.
and we really still don't give them enough credit for it.
No, it's quite true. Quite true.
And the last match, actually, it's another tag match. And I totally messed up the last, like, I guess I must have typed it wrong, but it was Taylor Rising and her tag partner. I just remembered her name, Taylor Rising,
Hmm.
and her partner versus Emi Sakura and Serena Deeb.
Yes.
Right now, this match, the reason I thought about this match, and it took me a while. I'm like, should I give it to something else? And I was looking at other matches. I'm like, yeah, I mean, I was watching the stuff. I'm watching Rampage. I'm like, yeah, these matches are good, but why is Serena Deeb on Dark?
Hmm.
That's it. That's all I'm gonna say. Why is Serena Deeb on Dark?
Oh,
She
she's
is
only
so
number 70.
yeah. She's only number 7. Yeah, that's true. I mean, if she was maybe like number 69 or below, or maybe she'd be
Yeah.
on Dynamite, right? But like,
Uh,
I I'm watching this, and you know me, I'm not the biggest Emi Sakura fan. I'm like, I don't like her gimmick. I don't, but I always have to remember. Listen, she did train people like Hikaru Shida and stuff like that. So
Mm.
let's stop a little bit and remember where they learned their tricks, right? So watching Emmy again, not as not my type of wrestling. She's a little slower. She's a little bit older. We have to remember that. But then watching Deeb and what she does with people, and I'm like, I don't like she picked up that girl, and I can't remember. I hate the fact I can't remember her name now, and gave her finisher, and I was like, this girl is maybe 3 times your size, and you
Mm-hmm.
picked her up in that finisher and put her. It was absolutely insane. And then that move she does where she bends the person's arms back,
Mm-hmm.
it just makes no sense. I don't understand how she does what she does, and she doesn't get enough credit. Is it because they don't again, is it because her personality, she needs to be with a stable? And speaking of stables, they mentioned a stable here with her in it, and I'm like, wait, Serena Deeb, Emi Sakura, and some other people are in this stable. I'll find the name, but I'm like, they're part of a stable. I didn't know this. Like, what is this? Right? They literally just on the fly. Oh yeah, I'm part of this. I was like, part of what
They have a
exactly?
stable?
Yeah, exactly.
But I've been watching like Serena
I
Deeb
I
and
guess
Emmy
I
Sakura matches
guess
on Dark,
on
and
Dark.
I've
I
been
guess on Dark. Yeah, that's the thing. They don't even give time for promos on Dark, so I don't know what they're talking about.
yeah.
Anyways. So, but overall, it was a good match. Watching them absolutely out Matt wrestle, and you know me, I'm not the biggest Matt wrestler fan, but every time I watch Serena Deeb in the ring, all she reminds me of is Bret Hart, and
Mm-hmm.
I love Bret Hart. So I every time I sit here, I'm like, man, if only you could have won the Owen Hart opening, but hey, Brit won it, so who
Yeah.
cares? But yeah, no, I enjoyed this match, and I thought, hey, you know what? I'll give it a quick recommendation because it was just it was good. It was good wrestling. And hey, you're talking about the guy who loves the high flying wrestling, and I'm giving it to this of all matches, right? So
Yeah, I
must
know.
say no.
If it's not lucha things, Krishna's probably not that into it.
Wake me up when this match is
I
over.
know, right? Well, there you go. Those are three good recommendations. And see,
Mm.
that's what I like too, is that you find these gems in the
Mm.
places that most people are like, well, those just their YouTube shows. No, you know what? Those were actually better than
They're
Rampage this
good.
week. So
Yeah,
yeah.
better than
Anyway.
Rampage. Sometimes better
Mhm.
than the Dynamite matches that are
Yep.
they have.
Oh
So
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. If you're looking for good wrestling, and that's what we're looking for,
Hmm.
right? There you go. Well, I got three of my own as well this week, and the
Okay.
first one I'm going to talk about is Mayu Iwatani taking on Utami Hayashishita from Stardom on October 23rd. This
Okay.
was a semifinal match for the IWGP Women's Championship. It started off with Mayu going in for a handshake, and these are two of the best women in the world wrestling today. I don't care what the PWI 150 says. Maya went for a handshake, which Utami refused, but these two have a history of getting into good matches together. There were lots of great moves by both of them in this match, like just an insane number of great moves. Utami at one point got the upper hand early after a hard shoulder block, and then just started working over Mayu's back. And then there was one sequence that Utami, she did this massive elbow strike, put it right into an air raid crash, and then a running seated lariat for a near fall. It was just like bang, 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 and it looked like she was going to kill her. And she did a deadlift bridging Northern Light suplex, like a deadlift bridging Northern
Oh
Light
wow.
suplex.
Okay.
I mean, look, Maya's not exactly a big girl, but it was still impressive. I mean, Utami's not exactly big either, so Iwatani's crucifix bombs are absolutely nuts. I mean, she hit two in quick succession, and both of them were straight out of counters. And she even did she reversed the spinning crucifix power bomb that she was in while it was still spinning into a roll up. So
Oh wow.
Tommy tried to hit her with the crucifix power bomb, like the old Razor's Edge,
Hmm.
and she spins while she does it. And in it, Iwatani was able to get down and roll her up. It was just like, holy crap, how'd she even get out of that?
Hmm.
And the end came when Iwatani caught Utami on the turnbuckle and landed the crucifix powerbomb herself, and then followed it up with two top rope moonsaults, which is her finishing move. So she did back to back ones and then put Utami away. Great match. The wrestling in this match was just so good, and all these amazing moments, encounters, and stuff. I mean, there was probably enough high flying in it to make you happy, and there was enough mat wrestling to really have the mat wrestler appreciate it. Good storytelling in the match as well too, with the two of them just trying to get on top for the the first crack of the IWGP Women's Championship. After the match, Iwatani called out Kairi Sane, who's
Oh.
well, she's just Kairi now, who's going to be her opponent for the belt, and told her that, you know, I was in Stardom here for 5 years waiting to fight you. Where were you? You know, it was just like a sad time. You were gone. You left me here, because they also used to
Mhm.
be, like, as far as I'm aware, they were also partners at one point.
Okay.
And Kyrie said, "Well, you had your 5 year journey. I had my 5 year journey, right?" And Kyrie's response was, "We can just put it all out there in the ring, all of this emotion, right?" And Maya said, "Well, we shouldn't have such a dark match." This is where it kind of got a little interesting. She goes, "We could just have a wild and crazy match, right?" Like, she almost went nuts.
Mhm.
And Kyrie's like, "Yeah, we'll do that. I'm so happy to be able to fight against you." I am skeptical they're actually happy to fight against each other. But yeah, it was quite the interesting and semi wacky promo end, and then they had this tug of war with the belt, because they both had to hold up the belt, each of them holding an end, and they were like pulling it back and forth, looking at each other with this "stop pulling the belt." And yeah, it was kind of funny, and they had to hand it back, and then they just sat there staring at each other. So yeah, it looks like it's going to be an epic match. I can't wait to see it. That will happen at the end of November, and then the first title defense will be at Wrestle Kingdom. So that was the
Nice.
first match that I would recommend people check out. You can find it on Stardom World, or you can find it by alternative means. Which, as I always say, I do not advocate finding it by alternative means. The second match I'm going to recommend is Zack Sabre Jr. taking on David Finlay, another New Japan match on October 27th, 2022, New Japan World. This was a quarterfinal match for the New Japan TV title. Now, obviously, we already know who won because we updated the tournament earlier, but I'm really getting impressed with David Finlay. We know
Mhm.
how good Zack Sabre Jr. is, but this one, I mean, there was a lot of grappling, a lot of back and forth pins and stuff. Finley dropped Zack Sabre Jr. with a series of hard uppercut forearms that would make Claudio Castagnoli proud. I mean, these just looked vicious, but Zack went after his surgically repaired shoulder, with arm twists, holds, hammerlock holds, that elbow stomp he does, right? Eventually, Finley, like, he comes across as super tough, but can wrestle his ass off too, right? Like, he's not going to win any awards for the greatest wrestler ever, but he's getting better. And he went for the trash panda, his finisher, but Zack Sabre Jr. countered it with a Pele kick, but that Pele kick sent Finley off the ropes, who came back into a spinning shoulder tackle for two. It was such a cool sequence. Zack Sabre Jr. countered a tornado DDT at one point into, like, directly into a rear naked choke. Just, I have no idea how he pulls off the stuff he does, but Finley escaped into a jackknife cover for two. Zack Sabre Jr. tried to reverse it into a roll up, and then he got reversed again into another jackknife cover for another close
Oh
near
wow.
fall. The end came when they exchanged elbow smashes. Finally, and then David Finley finally got the better of him. But the Irish whip is then, but I mean, Zack Sabre, yeah, the Irish whip that he does was finally reversed into a backslide by Zack Sabre Jr. that then transitions into a jackknife cover. It was just like how he did that coming out of an
Mhm.
Irish whip. I was just like, are you kidding me right now? And Zack Sabre Jr. gets the 3 count. So yeah, it was a good match. It had the cool story of, like, just like the David Finlay, who's been making his mark. He had that epic match against Will Ospreay a few weeks back, and now this really good match against Zack Sabre Jr. I was like, okay, he's on my radar now. He's definitely on my radar. He's a guy to watch. He puts on good matches with good opponents, and he plays this really tough wrestler. So I really appreciated that match a lot. I would suggest checking it out. The last one, Krishna. Now, I'm not going to say that, if you're into lucha things, this probably wouldn't be your match. But if you're into really good wrestling, this was a really good match. It was Ren Narita taking on Tomohiro Ishii on October 26th, and this was also a quarterfinal match for the TV title. Ishii's promo before the match was just literally him staring at the camera for 2 seconds and walking off. So, yes, these matches have a 15-minute time limit, don't forget, too. So there's a lot of back and forth, chopping, strikes, both sides showing fighting spirit. I mean, after getting chopped down at one point, Narita's chest was a mess, right? Narita stands up to Ishii, taking chop after chop, and every chop he's just screaming in Ishii's face. It was so cool. And then finally he slumps in the corner and then gets back to his feet and brings it again. There was so much of this, like, just neither guy was going to relent. Neither guy was going to go down in this match, right? Narita's suplexes in the match were just outstanding. The guy does like perfect Germans, like half and halves. It's like the guy's a suplex machine. Ishii was, of course, his usual vicious self. At one point, Ishii interrupted multiple kicks by Narita with a broad arm to Narita's throat, like the side of his arm right across his throat. Narita was like choking and gagging in the corner. He sold this just like a champ. It was such a good. It really started to heat up though with just over 3 minutes left. You had Narita with a bridging German for two. Ishii just runs him over after he
Hmm.
kicks out. There's an Ishii lariat in the corner. It's responded to with elbows. Ishii elbow strikes and a power bomb for two. A lariat, but then Narita right out of the lariat just pops right back up. And then he takes a skull to skull headbutt and then a lariat for a near fall. The 3 minute timer sounds. And Ishii's going for his drop brainbuster finisher. Narita counters into a cross arm breaker, but Ishii gets to the ropes. 2 minutes left.
Oh.
Narita kicks him a lot. Ishii chops him and a headbutt. Narita's down, but he misses the sliding lariat. Narita hits an enziguri and a bridging suplex for two. Ishii responds with his own enziguri, and both men are down as the 1 minute timer
Oh.
goes off. And then Ishii does his sliding lariat for two, goes for the brainbuster again. Narita escapes, throws him off the ropes, overhead bridging suplex for three with only
Ooh.
seconds left in the match. This match was so good. Meltzer gave it 4 3/4 stars, just so you know.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, no, it was so well told, like the underdog fighting against this like tough as nails competitor in Ishii. So good. The suplexes just like they worked so stiff. Right? Like they just looked like they were killing each other in this ring. Great match. Loved it. So those are my three recommendations for this
Nice.
week. Two of them from New Japan, one from Stardom. Check them out. So that brings us to our match of the week. Who was your match of the week?
I still think my match of the week is the match obviously from Dynamite, Brian Danielson versus Sammy Guevara. That match to me was just absolutely fantastic. I really didn't give it enough credit for like when I first heard it announced. I was like, well, are these guys going to put on a good match? Are they not? But then I kind of convinced myself. I'm like, well, when was the last time Daniel Bryan or Brian Danielson put on a bad match? When was the last time Sammy put on a bad match? And I got my answer right. It
Mm-hmm.
was match of the week or match of the night for me last week, and it was match of the week for me last week as well. I just absolutely just love that match.
Yep. You know what? I'm just going to go ditto
Yeah,
because that's my match of the week too.
there you
It was
go.
a great match. It was Brian Danielson at his best, Sammy
Hmm.
Guevara being his almost perfect high flying self.
Yeah,
What more can you say about this match? Great story
exactly.
in it. Danielson just killed him. It was just such a good match with great stuff going on. Wrestler of the week.
Yeah, wrestler of the week. Actually, I have to give it to this wrestler because I was considering Sammy. I'm like, but you know what? Sammy's gonna surprise me. He's gonna surprise me. So I'm not gonna give it to Sammy. It's gonna give it. I'm gonna give it to the wrestler who I originally put down last week, but I gave him an honorable mention after his match, and that's gonna be Claudio Castagnoli. Like I before we well, when we gave our predictions for Dynamite last week, I said, I'm not really a big Claudio fan. Like, yeah, he does these certain things. Like when he kind of joined the Blackpool Combat Club, but like, really, you joined the Blackpool Combat Club? Like, I mean, with Mox and these guys, I'm like, okay, I guess that makes sense, sure.
Mm-hmm.
But again, just giving him like slyly not saying I didn't really like some of the wrestling, but last week that match when he absolutely took everyone out, ends
Mm,
up pinning Jericho. I'm like, wow, that was such a good sequence. And it absolutely showed like what this guy can do.
yep.
And yeah, no question. I have to give him my rest of the week after I put him down because he clearly deserves it.
Oh no, he had a really good week. He had that really solid match too on was it Elevation that he main evented?
Yeah,
Might
elevation,
have been
elevation.
yeah, he had a really solid match. No, no, good choice. And you're right, that match was great. His wrestling and that was
Oof.
great. Like he kills people. But my choice went to the guy who killed Sammy Guevara. So
Oh.
so I'm going with Brian Danielson as my
Okay.
wrestler of
Fair
the week
enough.
because
Fair enough.
that match you couldn't wrestle that more perfectly.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
just in his
Agreed.
aggression, his in-ring
Yeah.
storytelling, like how can you not just look at that match and look at Brian Danielson and go, you're so good. You're just so good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, I guess when you have a guy that's that good, it's hard not to think of him as a wrestler of the week. So he was my choice this week.
Yeah, he does have an award named after him as well. So I mean, hey,
Oh, he
right?
does. Yes, of course. Yes. Well, that brings us then to our profile of the week. And I've got a profile for you
All
this week,
right.
Krishna. I
Let's
am
hear it.
going to profile Mayu Iwatani because not only is she amazing, but she's amazing. And she will be going for the IWGP Women's title against Kyrie. So
Okay.
I think that it would be really good if you and the rest of our audience knew something about her. So I'm going to help you all learn about her right now. She was born February 19th, 93, making her 29 years old right now. She lived in a rural area of Japan that was apparently 40 minutes from the nearest convenience store. She debuted in January 2011 and currently still wrestles for Stardom. She is a two-time World of Stardom champion, two-time Wonder of Stardom champion, one-time high-speed champion, two-time Goddess of Stardom champion, and five-time Artist of Stardom champion. She won the Cinderella tournament. I sound like Excalibur right now. She won the Cinderella tournament back-to-back in 2015 and 16 in the 2018 five-star Grand Prix, which, as you remember, is their version of the G1. She is also a former Women of Honor champion. In 2016, Dave Meltzer called Iwatani and fellow Japanese workers Io Shirai and Kairi three of the best wrestlers in the world. Not just female wrestlers, three of the best wrestlers in the world. Apparently, she was quite mischievous as a child, but when she entered junior high, she became mischievous in a different way. Her mom was getting called to the school all the time. She dropped out of high school in her first year and became a shut in, essentially. So, in the 2 years she spent as a shut in, she apparently only went outside 3 times. This is out of her own mouth, by the way. Um, she got into wrestling when she lost a battle for the remote with her brother and they watched Dragon Gate. She was instantly hooked. And at that point, she started to imagine herself as a pro wrestler. Her choice became what she said as staying at home and dying or going to Tokyo and trying out to be, because she was pretty depressed, right? She was depressed. She was wiped out. She was a shut in. She just lived life lying on her bed, staring at the ceiling, essentially. So she went, she's going to go and try out. So she answered the ad and joined their very first, this was when Stardom was first forming, their very first class ever of trainees. And so she ended up staying with one of the founders because she had nowhere else to stay. She said they thought that she was going to quit immediately when she started trying out. She was called Clumsy when she debuted and actually went winless in her first 11 months as a pro wrestler. And she admitted in an interview, though, quote, I didn't put in any effort. She hated practice and was always skipping it until one day one of the senior wrestlers lost their patience with her. She was ordered to spar for 90 minutes straight until she was so tired she couldn't move. And that wrestler told her to get down on her knees and apologize and swear she'll never skip another day in her life. And she said, oh, I'm sorry, I'll never skip again. And then skipped the very next day. Right. So anyway, she says, I don't need to practice to be able to wrestle. This is a direct quote. If I can 100% accurately imagine myself doing a move, then I can do it perfectly in a match as well. The only other person who ever said they could do this was Kota Ibushi, right?
Yeah.
And she's also been compared to Ibushi, Okada, and Tanahashi.
Oh wow.
She's also considered to be one of the best bumpers in Stardom. When she was asked once, who is the strongest wrestler in the world there, she said, me. But then she said, well, if not me, then Utami Hayashishita, who was her opponent, of course, this week. So what is strength to Mayu Iwatani? Here's how she answered it. She said, it's about being your truest self. Like, I just cannot be cool. I didn't create the character Mayu Iwatani. Other wrestlers are trying to show themselves as strong, but I'm just trying to show myself as I am. My motto is somehow it'll be fine. Even if I'm like, crap, well, that is just terrible. Somehow it'll be fine. The plan for Japan right now is apparently to push her hard in 2023, according to Dave Meltzer, as the icon of Stardom, which is already her nickname. There's a major movie on her set to come out late 2023, and apparently Netflix may be distributing it internationally.
Oh
So
wow.
there you go. She one heck of a wrestler, ton of awards, very interesting personality,
Mhm.
very quirky, funny as heck, and amazing in the ring. And she's right, she can sell, and her moves are insane. So
Yeah, that's
there
it's
you go.
interesting. Like I know I like hearing like stories about like, people down the dumps, and she gave her it's either basically ends herself, or she goes and does this, right? So she
Hmm.
obviously made the right choice, and she's not changing who she is. I like that. She's like, no, this is me, right? Like this is who
Yep.
I am. I'm not. I didn't create this character. It's funny because she kind of sounds like a female Orange Cassidy. She's like, this is me. I don't care, but like she's
Yeah.
able to kind of still perform like in the ring, and like
Hmm.
not take everything so serious. So that, and again, comedy like Orange Cassidy, right? So I'm like, oh, that's like weird. She's kind of sounds like an Orange Cassidy
Yeah,
kind of
she's a lot more
person.
outgoing than Orange Cassidy in the
Mm-hmm.
ring. But she's outgoing in this like kind of weird, quirky way,
Okay.
right? Like, yeah, like she throws a baseball to the crowd to start her matches. Like it's just an orange foam ball, right? But
Yeah.
that's like the end of her entrance. She pulls out a baseball glove and throws a baseball into the crowd. Why? I'm still not quite sure. She just does. She also wears a furry tail while she wrestles. Why? I'm not quite sure, but she does. She leads the Stars faction right now in Stardom. So yes, very interesting wrestler with a very interesting history.
Hey, I mean, she is very young, so I mean,
Hmm.
I get it. I get that. Hey, how many times have we been to conventions, be like, and we've asked, what is this person dressed as? Like they're wearing
Hmm.
these, like, so yeah, I'm not surprised in any way.
Right.
Um, but yeah, no, that's good. That's like Meltzer saying that she, like, first of all, like she's getting compared to like those top wrestlers. Like
Hmm.
that's high praise. Plus the fact that she's going to be getting a big push this year. That's really good. And so young, right?
Yep.
So yeah, no, this is awesome. I might have to check out some of her matches now.
That would be a very good plan because I keep recommending her matches. So, you know. Anyway, but I think that we have probably talked on long enough for
We
one
have.
day. So, as the great one always says, goodbye, everybody, and good night. Bang.
Good night, everyone.